I guess I first encountered Joe Orton when I studied drama and English at Bangor University with Danny Boyle. And even though it was an academic course, we did do quite a lot of productions. We never actually did one of his productions on the main stage, but we certainly workshopped them and talked about them, and he was part of the curriculum, even then, way back in the 70s. And then when I became a professional actor, I saw most of his plays performed, because they are frequently, as you know. And I was in one myself. I was in What the Butler Saw 2 years ago in LA, actually, in a very strange production, because if you remember the line about the gollywog, and of course no one in California knows what that is. So we struggled long and hard, wondering how to actually explain to a Californian audience what on earth that was without it being offensive. So that was quite tricky. but it was a good production, yeah. I'm sure the reason that his plays have been more successful here is because it's a very dry English sense of humour. And I do think it actually doesn't travel terribly well across the Atlantic. They have their own playwrights with fabulous dry senses of humour, but it's a very quintessential English thing, rather like the letters from Edna Welthorpe. You know, it's deeply English and very, I think you do have to have that background to quite understand how naughty he is, cocking a snook at the establishment all the time, but all in innuendo. So unless you actually do understand the judiciary and policemen and lavatorial humour, I think it is quite hard for foreign audiences to quite grasp how clever he was being. I think the challenges of being in an Orton play it's to do with the timing. I mean, he wrote them very much as farces, and if you think about the great Whitehall farceurs like Brian Rix, Ray Cooney, it was all about the timing. And, you know, a great farcical play like When Did You Last See Your Trousers, you have to be there on it, seeing the policeman with his trousers down and his ankles, and always one step ahead of the audience. And I think those are the biggest challenges. And the pain. I personally, I had to, when I was doing What the Butler Saw, playing Mrs. Prentice, the actual door to the set didn't really fit, and it was a little bit stuck, so I had to boof it with my hip every single time I entered, because I was always holding a whiskey bottle and a whiskey glass. And I ended up actually having quite a lot of pain with my hip, which I think Joe Orton would find hugely amusing, so that it actually damaged one of his actresses. But I'm all right now. Well, playing Leonie and Orton in Prick Up Your Ears, playing Leonie Orton was just very frightening, because she was still around, and she still is around. And I did want her to enjoy what I did, and I did want her to feel as if I'd fleshed her out properly. And of course, you know, it was just a joy to film, because there was, you know, Julie Walters as our mum, as it were, in the coffin, and Gary and I were hysterical during that scene, because it is all true, you know, she had forgotten to put her teeth in because he'd stolen them. And Stephen Frears is a fabulous director from Leicester boy. And we just had a wonderful time making it. Oh, I love Edna Welthorpe. I mean, his imagination was just so stunning. I mean, it was just totally hilarious. And I'm sure that, you know, satirists and, you know, that came after him, like Henry Root, those letters that he compiled and sent everyone a pound. Dear Your Majesty, I think you're disgraceful. I don't like your new stamp. Here's a pound. And Edna Welthorpe was really the prototype for all of that. And what you have organised with modern writers doing their version of Edna Welthorpe, I think is fantastic. And the subject of Brexit, which comes up very often, which is truly the word de nos jours, he would have been on it like the clappers. And they're a joy to read. They're very funny, very dry, very, very, very English. And I hope I do them justice.